Hello, sisters, brothers, and non binary listeners to the Sisterhood of Healing podcast. On today's episode, we have guest Grace Stringer, and she's here to talk about healing and modern dating. Welcome, Grace. Thanks so much for joining
Hi,
us.
no problem. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So we'll jump right into it. Do you want to tell
Yeah,
us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
yeah. I've been in Canada for over 7 years now. I came from England, with my ex at the time, and I have a 5-year-old, and I have my own dog walking business, but I also set up like a side business, doing singles events. So about it really.
That's so cool. I love that. I love like a little like boss lady,
Yeah.
especially because you came from another country to do that. I think that's so cool. Good for you.
Yeah, I've got like family friends here, so I found it like a little easier to kind of make more friends, from that. So, and
Yeah.
kind of set up like little businesses. And I already had like a small community here when I first moved, so I found it a little easier than probably most people when they move to another country.
Yeah, that would
So,
be nice to have those connections and like people you can kind of lean on or even
yeah, yeah,
like readily available to talk to is kind of nice.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
I've met so many people. The people that I kind of met when I first moved here, like that I already knew. I still speak to them, of course, but like I have like a group of new friends now. So it's
Oh,
nice. Yeah.
so you and I have met before. We've done like
Yeah.
together and we've had like life chats together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Been really interesting. And I just think you have like the coolest life and like the coolest origin. So like what is your origin story? Like how like what got you to where you are today, like in Canada, doing the dog walking, doing like most importantly, like the single social. Like how did you get here?
So the single social that kind of stemmed from a really bad breakup. So me and my ex moved to Canada together, and then we broke up 3 years ago. And I had to go back to England at the time because I was like in a really bad way. And I was like laying in bed thinking one night, like, how do you even meet people anymore? Like, how do you meet people organically? And I think I tried out the online dating for probably 24 hours, and that just really weren't happening. And I thought of this idea, and I was like, but I don't like speed dating, but I don't really want to go to bars and approach people. So that's why I came up with the idea of kind of being in a room full of single people, but because it's interactive, you don't have to ask the awkward questions.
I think that's so
So,
the awkward questions are the worst. And like even when
yeah.
I've been speed dating and even like those like little 5 minute conversations, like if you're really not vibing with someone or someone cannot,
Yeah.
you're like, this is such a painful 5 minutes. And then,
Yeah.
oh, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite drink? Like it's
Yeah. And I
yeah.
think because people do get awkward, I think questions like that come around. You feel like you have to ask them questions. Whereas when you're in like a group or it's kind of like a team building type event, I guess, where people can just like organically be drawn to who they want to talk to and or they don't want to talk to. And you've been to one of them before, and like girls will talk to each other, guys will talk to each other, and people will make like business connections. It doesn't always have to be kind of like romanticized. It can be meeting single people for anything. So yeah,
Yeah.
because it's hard when you're single too to kind of have that group of other single people that you can go and do things with. Because a lot of, especially like my age, I'm 35 now, and I find that a lot of my friends are married or have kids, and they don't have much freedom as I do. So it's like hard to get people out. I have friends that I have to book in advance for like 2 months. So it's like I'll see you in 2 months, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I can
Oh,
totally understand that.
yeah, yeah.
Harder to make plans as you get older or like your family grows, life gets busier.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Mm.
and I was there as well at that point. And then, like I say, I became like, when I became single, like I split my son 50-50, like with my ex. And I had this like spare time, and I was like, no one's like, what is anyone doing? Like, and everyone's like, no, I can't. Or no, and I'm just like, oh, so, it helped with that as well.
So then you thought of the single social, and I think it's really neat that I mean, you have this idea of like, how do I meet people, and then expect
Yeah.
to actually help other people meet people.
Yeah. Well, I've always been in business, I guess. And every time I've set up a little business, it's always been something that I'm like really passionate about. So it's like with the whole like meeting people, same as like I just feel like not even for dating, like I say, the connections go in, especially with like everything's online, everything's at your fingertips, like Uber, like Amazon. Everyone wants it now and they can get it now just from being like online. So I kind of wanted to create something where you can build a bit more connection and you know, hopefully it works. We'll see.
No, I think that's great.
So
Yeah.
how are these connections built when someone shows up to a single social event?
So I try and rotate the groups. So obviously then you're not stuck in like with the same group. 'Cause I know a lot of people too don't just want to like approach, but then I find by like halfway through, people are kind of comfortable and you can see them like, approaching other people. And so I usually do like 3 rounds, where people can like rotate. For example, like the cocktail making one, I think we did 2 cocktails, of rotated groups, but then we did like a mingle in between. And then like I did the games one, and that was like 3 rounds of games, all different groups.
Oh wow. So how
So
long would each round be?
depending on the type of event, the event's usually around 3 to 4 hours. And the games when we did like rounds of half an hour. And because people are so busy as well, like focusing on the game, it's not awkward because even if you don't want to talk to the person next, if you've got nothing in common at all, like the person next to you, you can still focus on the game. So it takes that like stress away, that like, I'm feeling pressured to have a conversation with someone that you have like nothing in common with.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like when you're playing a game with someone, you like really get to know what their personality is like.
Yeah, because I feel like these events will skip like 10 steps than what the online would do. Because I don't know about like anyone that's online, but if I'm online, I find it really hard to get attached to just like a photograph anyway. And then when I do, the conversation might be a bit dry, and I'm like, oh, I'm bored now. Like, and I'm the part of the problem too, so I can't blame it. I'm part of that problem, which I'm trying to get people away from.
Yeah, setting is so great because you see people just like in their natural element. Like
Yeah.
all I feel like when you're competing in a game, like if it's like snakes and ladders or cards or like whatever it is, it's like people get so competitive.
I know, yeah. And I like the one thing I noticed about the events, no one has the phone out, like unless they're kind of switching like numbers, but like no one has the phone out, which I really like because that's a problem too. Like even when I go on first dates or I see people, or and they're on a date and they're both like everyone's on the phone, and it's just nice to see people not actually doing that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, get that. So you said that you like the origin of like the single social came about over like you had broken up with your ex and it's been 3 years and this was like a kind of like an outlet for like you to meet people and like
yeah.
the other people. um would you say that it was like a little cathartic, like it helped you in like your healing, like how did those two like connect?
Yeah, so I think what it was like for me, anything like focus, I have to be. I like to focus on something, and I think that was kind of like my way out of, like my way of dealing with. Sorry, the dogs are all going crazy. No, my way of dealing with like the stress of it all, having something to focus on. Because like I said, I took it really bad, and I ended up going back to England for a few months, and I kind of like healed in England because I was around like my friends and family. And then I needed something to like look forward to coming back to Canada. And I think I put all my energy in this. And I kept, you know what it were? I kept talking about it. And I kept talking about it to my friends, saying I want to do this. And my friend one day was just like, well, just do it. Just do it. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try. And if it don't work, it don't work. Tried. So but it really helped me. Like originally it wasn't really to meet people. It was just I seen kind of a gap in the market, I guess. And for you know I know that I think there's companies that do it bigger in like in different countries, but I thought it was something local. So
No, I think it's great and I love that you saw the gap and you filled it and you took that opportunity, and I bet you a lot of people were like sitting around with their friends having conversations like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if like we can meet people this way via games, via cocktails, via whatever it is.
yeah,
The initiative to do that, and I think that takes a lot of bravery, so well done and thank you.
thank you. There's still like a bit of a taboo around, which I find especially for guys. I have a lot of guys messaging me like wanting to come, and saying they're interested in coming, and like, but then they like never. I don't know if it's like a confidence thing or if they don't. It's like they feel like they're desperate going to these events. Do you know what I mean? But I'm like, it's no different to like putting yourself out there online. If anything, it's better because you're actually making deeper connections.
Yeah,
So I think women are a little bit more like, like a little bit more up for it than
yeah,
guys at the minute. But it's just getting the word out there, and so hopefully, yeah, more guys will. It just depends on the event, to be honest, because the games event that's got more guys at the minute than females, and then the cocktails one always has like more females signed up at first. So
interesting. Well, I do like a good cocktail, and so do my friends. So
yeah, I know, same. Yeah.
it could
So,
be it. That could be it. Yeah, it's so funny because a couple weeks ago I went out to dinner with my girlfriends, and it was a restaurant that had just opened that week. And as you do with your girlfriends, like you get dressed up, you go out to dinner, like you have a drink, like whatever. And all you saw were like groups of girls, like the restaurant
yeah,
was full of groups of girls having dinner. And I'm like, if I was a single guy, I would be flopping my
100%.
restaurant.
Yeah. I always say to my friends, you're never going to meet a single guy, really. If you go for a cocktail at a cocktail bar, it's either couples or like groups of girls. That's not the place to go to meet guys. You need to go like sports bars. You need to go like, I don't know where else, but definitely not the cocktails. But guys should do that. Guys should run with it.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Totally is. I always said like if I was a guy, it's like a single guy instead of a single girl right now, I would join a yoga class and
Yeah.
go sit at a cocktail bar by myself. Like
Yeah.
it's so
100%.
easy. It's so easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. There's so many of us.
Yeah, like honestly, I've got so many tips as well for the guys. I always think like when you go on online dating and you see, I want to help them with the photos. I want to help them with like the bios. When they take the photos so close up, I'm like, just move it away just a little bit, like
Or like
just a little.
all chin and like nose hairs.
Yes, yeah. It's just not. It would make all the difference.
Yeah, yeah. But
So,
what was the biggest obstacle, if you had any, you were facing, like in the last 3 years when you were healing, or like in putting the single social together? Was
um,
well that like kind of combine them? Were they separate?
I think it's like two sep. Like I think me personally, I'm way different to what I've done with the single social, if that makes sense. Like when I do the single social, I come across really confident. Like I come across really, I've put my efforts into that. But then I think my own personal dating experience is like way different to like, because I can give advice and I can be like, oh, do this or you should do this. But then when it comes to like my own, I really struggle with like being emotionally available, like personally,
Mhm.
which is something that I'm trying to, you know, which is like I said, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, because the single social is kind of a distraction in a way to help other people rather than myself.
Yeah.
It's like, because a lot of people say to me, oh, I bet you meet loads of guys there. Oh, like, did you do it for you? And I was like, actually, no, like, I don't think I've ever met one guy through doing it. Like, being a single social that I've kept in touch with in that way. I've definitely met friends through it, but I'm not, in a romantic way. And I've never really thought about meeting guys myself there. I think I've just put the distraction into the business rather than myself, which is
Yeah.
probably not healthy. um, but it's a process. It's been a lot. Like it's been 3 years now since me and my ex broke up, and it's like seeing how far I've come now to how I were like 3 years ago is like insane. Like I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't even like look after my son when it first happened, and then just seeing like I couldn't go to work, like it was just like debilitating, and then seeing now how like I feel strong on my own, because I think I was scared as well of being alone, like, oh, I don't want to be 50, 60, 70, like be alone, and all that. And now I'm kind of like, I'm just content, and if someone comes along that makes me happy, then that's good. So
Mhm.
Mm.
yeah, no, it's definitely been, I think a lot of people go, and it's funny because like when I was with my ex, I was like wrapped up in cotton wool kind of thing. And then when we broke up, it's like seeing no relationship's perfect. I think a lot of women go through this, especially mid-30s. That's when, relationships sometimes start to break down, when kids get involved. And it was nice surrounding myself it sounds like awful, like it's not seeing other people sad, but like surrounding myself with women that have been through it as well, and seeing them come out on the other side, and I found a lot of inspiration in that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like I have a couple friends going through some stuff, and like I said to them, like it like I know it sucks right now, but trust me, it's so much better on the other side. And it is.
Yeah.
It
Like 100%, yeah. You become so much stronger. Like these things that I never thought. Like I've just been on a road trip this weekend. Just me and my friend went, and it sounds really stupid but like we both like drove, but my car needed like things fixing, and I went to the mechanic and I got it all done. And it's like they're all the things that I would have probably never have done, like like on my own.
yeah.
We went to the States. Then we came back through Quebec, and it was just like little things like that where you kind of feel, I don't know, like driving that far actually felt really like freeing, and I felt like really independent, and nice, just little things like that. Not
Yeah.
that I couldn't do that when I'm in my relationship, but I would have probably gone with my ex-partner. So
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't realize like what you're capable of until like you're in
yeah,
a position and like
yeah.
to
And like, so
be
we're still friends. Like I've not, no, it took a long time for me to be okay with him, but like because we've got a son together, so I have to be okay for that. Um,
Which can be
but
tough, but I'm sure.
yeah, no, it's but yeah, it's crazy how I know we say that to women now going through it. You feel like it's never going to get better, and a lot of people, they can't see the light kind of thing, but it does make you so much stronger. But it does make you also more picky, which is a problem. That's a different problem now. So like,
So I was talking to so my esthetician, her mom is her secretary. So I was at my esthetician's today, and I don't know how we got onto the topic of it, but her mom was talking about like her last like relationship, and her mom's like in and so this relationship was maybe like 10 or 15 years ago. Oh no, 10 years ago, she was saying. And she was like, no, she's like, I'm so much better off now. She's like, my standards are just so much higher now. She's like, I don't even like look at some guys because of everything I went through and everything I know. And like, I just know better now. And I won't even give some like the time of, was like, I totally get that because
yeah.
yeah, you're like your standards and like your boundaries, your expectations, like your self-worth, like everything's just so much
Oh,
higher.
100%. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, I was like less when me and my ex first broke up. I was way less picky than I am now because I think, I get again, like I've been in a few bad like situationships where I've been lied to too, and then like there is the red flags are there, like they're there, but you just, if someone's like, okay, good looking, or they can kind of blindside you with that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, like yeah, there's a few and then but now I can see the signs a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying I'm 100%, but yeah, and I've learned not to give too much, because before I'd give too much too soon if I really like someone. I think that's important. I stand by the 3 month rule. I feel like people can change. They put the best self like up for 3 months, and then they can't really do it for much longer.
Yeah.
And that's happened so many times. And I think that like that's the thing. Not that like I'm not gonna not commit to someone, but I'll definitely have my guard up for a good 3 months. So.
And 3 months is so true. It's so true because people can like, I find like guys will try and like fake it till they make it, but like
Yeah.
you do that, you can only fake your personality. You're going to be someone else for so long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like so in some situationships, and I've only had actually one since my ex, like one relationship, but that was like a short term, but I think it was long distance. So I think that's probably why I committed easier, because again, it wasn't fully, I'm probably slightly still emotionally unavailable. So because of the distance, that was like a safety net, because I could be like, oh, it's not working because of the distance. Like, and vice versa for him too. So it's like,
Yeah. I totally get that. There's like that little bit of yeah, like you said, the safety net.
Yeah, we didn't have to, we weren't smothering each other, and it would, and like we did for like 4 months, but again, it was a distance in the end that actually was the problem. So like,
What was it? I mean, you've alluded to this a little bit, but like, what was it like to start dating again? Like, were you scared to get back in there? Were you like, oh, I'll just figure this out as I go? I mean, you said that like you're a little more wiser now. Like,
Yeah, I think in the beginning I weren't scared. Like I was like excited. Once I'd hit, once I'd kind of like, okay, in my relationship, we're not getting back together. He was someone new. Once I got that into my head, I was like, oh my God, I can do whatever I want. Like I can do any, like I could meet the love of my life tomorrow. Like who knows? So I got like really excited and really optimistic about it. And then it was like as it went on and progressed, and I'd meet people and they'd like let me down or like some, and it would just like then it got exhausting. And then I kind of last year I stopped dating for a while, and I thought I'm just gonna focus on myself and go out to the gym and like do all the thing, and put it instead of like putting it into dating, like put it into work and like my son, and then that at that point I got a lot mentally healthier and realized that it's actually an ick when people don't reply to your message or when people don't want to take you on a date, and that put me off people rather than before I'd be like, oh, like what's wrong with me, or more of like, no, that's not okay.
yeah. I just had a friend who I have a group chat with, like the two of us have a group chat with her guy friend. And she had sent us a message last week and she's like, okay guys, this guy just replied after a week. And he said,
Yeah.
and like, oh, like let me know when you're available. And he said, oh, sorry, I'm too busy. I've been too busy to answer texts. Instagram's a little easier. Can I add you? And she's like, what do I do? It's been a week. And I was like, ew, no, he wants to creep on you because you forgot.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
a week later, I'm like, how is Instagram so much easier? She's like, that's what I want to ask him. And I was like, no, 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 no. This guy's not worth your time. And we're like, okay, like let's wait to see what our guy friend has to say. And he's like, yeah, no, she's right. He's not worth your time.
No.
Why
Yeah, honestly.
Instagram?
Like
So
if they can't reply after a week, it's like, okay, you go to the bathroom and you're probably scrolling on your phone when you're in the bathroom, like, or you eat your lunch and everyone's got the phone on them. It's not an excuse now. Like I just don't reply, or sometimes I'll put like lol. And that's it. I'm like so over it. Like I'm not even attracted to them type of people. And they're
Mhm.
the people that's like, oh, there's no women out here. Like that, like they are genuinely a lot of the time the
Yeah.
people that moan about the dating pool. Like I'm probably one of them. I'm probably one of those people.
um. Oh, you can hear.
I know. I'm gonna say you probably hear the dogs crying because as soon as I've come on the phone and I'm not paying attention, they're all whining. So
Oh,
I don't.
I haven't like seen my cats walking across the screen. I have one. Give me
They're
attention.
all just staring, whining at me, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like.
That's so
So
cute. Hi, dogs. I love dogs.
yeah,
Dogs and
the
cats.
one's just staring straight at me. But no, yeah, going back to the excuses. Some of the excuses that I've heard, I should honestly, I should do a page in your book with them too. It's hilarious. Like and I'm just so over it.
It's
So
my publisher. I saw her last month at an event, and she was like, "So, like, you've been collecting red flags around the world. Just tell me, like, what are the red flags like internationally? Is it different?" And I was like, "No, they're
no,
all
it's the same. Yeah, no, it's legit all the same. I'm gonna say something about the red flags. I can't remember. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to
okay."
me.
So you've obviously like gone through a huge transformation. You've like turned
Mhm.
into her, gone through some hard stuff, but on the other side, better for it. Was there like a moment, or is there like a piece of advice that was given to you that like helped you transform on your journey to like, get where you are today, 3 years later, or even 5, 7 years later from like where you started?
Um, I wouldn't say like anyone's gave me advice. Like I think you know what it was. Like I completely changed my mindset, and I did a lot of I did watch like a lot of motivational, not so much motivational speakers, but like I say, a lot of podcast women that had been through it too, and then seeing how they turned their life around after, and I think like it was just seeing a positive in every hurdle that came, like seeing a positive to it. So seeing, okay, well, like even my situations that I got into, I like, well, they don't want me, and there's obviously something better for me, or this has taught me. I feel like everything teaches you a lesson and does make you stronger. Um, so it would just, yeah, trying to see a positive, and because I could have sat there for like a year, 2 years, and just been sad, and and then let my business go downhill and let my son suffer and just feel sorry for me. But like a lot of people do go through it, and it doesn't mean it's not, it's not traumatic, and it's different for everyone. But you got to just get on with your life a little bit. You can't let one person affect your life, because
Mhm.
which like I always remember my cousin always saying, she like you can't what did she say? You can't control someone's emotions or feelings. So you're gonna be exhausted trying to control someone else's. You all you can control is your own. And then I took that advice and I was like, that's so true. So every time someone I can feel myself getting like upset over something, I just think, oh, yeah, I can't control anyone else. I can only control how I react to a situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
and take it so personally too when someone is unable to control their own emotions, or they're lashing out, or they're projecting on you, and like you take it so personally. But again, yeah, you can't control someone else's personality, you can't control their emotions, and just because like they're having a bad day or are just bad, like
yeah, well, just even seeing like a lot of people from dating, how a lot of, especially around my age group, I feel like a lot of men are so insecure too. Not even just men, women also. I don't want to, you know, sorry, the dog. Yeah, I don't want to
let's see the
generalize
dog.
it.
Oh,
Um, like I see a lot of insecurities, and a lot of, it's kind of sad how people haven't dealt with trauma, and from past relationships, and it does affect the next relationship, or how they date, or how they meet people, or even how they treat other people. It's kind
mhm.
of, I've definitely met a few guys that have tried to put me down just because they're not healed, and now I can recognize that. Whereas before, I'd think I weren't good enough. I'd be like, oh my god, he's insinuated that I'm fat, or that I'm like these kind of, and then really now I know these people. I'm like, it's just because they're not. Because secure people don't do that. Like
Yeah,
happy, healthy, secure people don't feel a need to put other people down or treat people badly.
yeah, yeah. I
So
totally agree with that. And like,
yeah.
yeah, having gone through that, you like
Hmm.
and like always feeling like, okay, like what can I do to like make this person happy, or like be what they need.
Yeah.
Ever
Yeah.
realizing like, oh, it wasn't me all along. It was literally just them and their insecurities and like their emptiness and shallow, like whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
a different perspective.
Yeah, but going back, that's what I was going to say. I just remembered. But going back to the, when I was saying about like people getting ghosted, or like your friend. Sorry, the dog's looking at the kid. It took a week to like reply. I think like in different. I always think I'm in two minds. It's like sometimes it's like one of them things where you don't owe anyone, especially if you've only like had a brief back and forth conversation with them. Like it's kind of like, oh, this is fizzling out. I don't take that personally anymore if I get ghosted in that way. But it's more so like if you have spent a week having a conversation, or if you've gone on a few dates and then they kind of, it's different when you've met them and you've got a connection and then they start ghosting you.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's like it's kind of. I think at that point, I feel like you do owe someone to be like, hey, it takes nothing just to be like, I don't feel a connection, or I don't feel a spark, or I'm too busy, I'm not, just something, because then people do wonder what they've done wrong.
yeah.
So
Like, where's the common courtesy? Like, go
yeah.
nothing that makes me more upset than ghosting. Like,
Hmm.
what is it? What would it take? And even like we have the protection of being behind a screen. You can text someone, "Hey, I'm."
Yeah.
Like, I always feel like I have to like, if I'm not with them, like FaceTime, just give like face to face to face,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of do it, just because I don't know. That's kind of where I stand on that. But it literally takes nothing to send a text to be like, you know what, I enjoyed talking to you. I'm just not feeling it. All the best, and like
Yeah.
then you don't leave that person wondering, and it's just common courtesy, respect for another human being, and I hate how people do that.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I say, I used to get so like worked up, but now like I'm not, I've definitely not ghosted in this. I've never like met someone and then ghosted them. But
Mhm.
like through the online, if I'm busy, or if like someone's added me on Instagram and sent me a message, like I've definitely probably been, I've probably done that too, but not intentional. Just
Oh
if
yeah,
I'm busy, or if I've read a message and I'm driving, and then But I've actually had guys message me being like, "You're so rude," blah blah blah, which then that annoys me and puts me off because I'm like, I'm at work. Then it automatically makes me not want to reply.
Yeah.
No, so like there's a way, but like I said, if I went on a date with someone, I wouldn't just ghost them after. I'd be like, hey, I'm not feeling it. It's, yeah. But I do think a lot of guys struggle with that too, because I think a lot of guys like to keep people on the back burner as well. Like even the guys that I've met over the past few years, they kind of always come back. Like
Yep.
just
Yep. I even have guy friends that like you can tell, like I know who their like roster is, not that
yeah,
necessarily like sexual roster, but like I know who their roster is, and it's funny because like they'll like talk about these girls in phases, like
yeah,
once you're talking about this girl, and then like you don't hear about her until like 9 or 12 months later because
yeah,
the girl, and I'm just like, what? And it's like an emotional roster. It's like so weird to me.
yeah,
Well, none of these girls, like when you hear the stories, like none of these girls are giving you what you need emotionally or physically, or they're just not in the same place in life as you, or headspace, or whatever it is. Like none of them are good enough for you to settle down with. None of them meet all of your expectations, but like you're keeping them all on the
yeah.
safety net of women, and it's so weird.
It is, yeah. Like I've had guys message me who I've not spoken to in a year and being like, "Hey, I miss you," and I'm like, we know that's not true. Like,
Yeah,
let's just get to the bottom of what you want. What do you want? Like,
yeah,
like, like, I'm not done. I've been single for this long. I know the game. Like,
yeah.
I know, But back like when I felt like 3 months newly single, I'd be like, "Oh my God, really? Oh, you miss me." Now I'm like, "No, you're a liar."
You know, a dog.
Yeah, yeah. What do you want? So, but no, yeah, it's nice seeing like a different mindset from being so like I just felt like sad alone, not sad alone. That sounds like well, kinda. I was like, I was kind of scared to be alone for a longest time, and then always need someone to text, a distraction. And now I can sit at home happily on my own for like 12 hours if I need to, and just do my own thing.
I love it. Why do you
Yeah.
think people are so afraid? Because I hear that all the time. Like people are so afraid to be alone, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like I feel like I'm never actually by myself, and then
Yeah.
that if I get 12 hours where I'm just sitting and doing nothing, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm not like scared to be alone. I think like day to day, I could happily do this. I think for me, it's like I'm a bit of an overthinker, so I think like I'm more worried about the future. I'm more worried like I don't want to be alone when I'm like 60 and like live on my own. And obviously I have a son, but then when my parents go, I think I'm an only child too, so I am like dependent on my parents. So I think I always overthink about like when they're not here, who have I got to kind of like look after me in a way. So
Hmm.
like I think that's my worry more than anything. I'm fine on my own now, and I could be on my own for like another 10 years. It won't bother me, in like that way. But I don't have any siblings, so it's like I think I'm scared to like deal with it all on my own. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that is
So
a lot. That is a lot too. I mean,
yeah,
with that, I'm like, one day my parents are actually not gonna be here, which is weird.
yeah.
Parents, they're always there.
That freaks me out so much. Thinking like, oh, like how because my mom always said to me when her mom passed, she's like, it's so no matter how much time goes on, if you're like close to your mom and she dies, it's like something that it's like a piece of you like is missing. Sorry to get really sad. It's like I'm getting
Aw.
so I'm like I think that is like I'm like oh because what's gonna happen like happens to everyone. It's not just everyone in the world dies. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
yeah.
but sorry it went a bit dark there.
It's so
So was there like one piece of advice or a moment that that helped you heal in your journey?
um Probably like I said, just the whole change in my mindset and like my cousin I mentioned, she said to me about not being able to change someone's you can't ever like uh change someone's mind, you can't change how they feel towards you, you can't they'll do what they want to do. Um and that was enough for me to be like, you know what, I need to focus on me, yeah, instead and like my life, create my own life and not put too much into someone else.
Mhm.
Which I think is, like I say, a problem in itself, because now I don't know how I'm going to meet someone that they have to fit into. It sounds really selfish, and I know a lot of people say this, but like when you're happy on your own and you're content, they have to fit into your life. But if you
Mhm.
also meet someone that's also like that, you have to fit into their life. So I think that's where people are struggling now, because I do think everyone's focusing on themselves. We're in like an era of like self-love, and everyone's going to the gym, and everyone's, getting hotter and happier. So it's like, how then do you, if everyone's happy on their own, how do they find that
Yeah,
People
happiness
really
with
need to
somebody
step
else?
up. They need to step up
Yeah.
their game.
it's so true. I've often thought too, like you said, this is the era where everyone's like focusing on themselves. Like, I definitely think that, and I definitely meet so many women. Like, you're the second person today, you and my esthetician's mom, who's like in her 60s.
Yeah.
Who said like, when you focus on yourself, things change. I was like, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I also wonder if it's like, I do think it's partially like the era that we're in now, but I also wonder like if it's our age bracket that makes it so
Yeah.
difficult, because like I feel like when you're in your 20s, you're like, oh my god, you're so cute. Like, what are you in school for? What do you enjoy?
Yeah. You don't overthink it when you're in your 20s. You don't really overthink, like, oh, how is it going to look when we have kids? How is it going to look, like what they're going to act like with conflict, or like, you don't really think about that kind of stuff until, I think that's why people around our age do then
Mhm.
end up like getting divorced, or because they're not growing together, they've grown apart. So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah. I feel like we like romantic, like when we're young, we like romanticize everything. That's okay. We're gonna date and it'll be fine. And you don't realize like the
yeah,
day and it's gonna be really tough and it's gonna end and it's not gonna work and it's not gonna be healthy. Kind of
yeah,
so much more practical now. I don't know. But yeah, it does. I agree with you. It does make it harder to fit into someone's life and have someone fit into yours. Like, I know I'm a really busy person and I'm always like, okay, I need someone who like also has hobbies and also has their own,
yeah,
like they understand what my life is like, but then when would I ever see them?
exactly, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, and that's why I actually like going back to the long distance. Like, I actually didn't, I liked that because I think it was just the psychological factor behind it. I think if he'd have lived here and we only seen each other like once, twice a week, that would have been fine. Because he lived in Detroit, but we actually seen each other once a week, which is quite like a lot. And I think if that had been in Hamilton once a week, that would have been totally fine. But I think we were overthinking, like, okay, so what's going to happen now? Like, who's moving where? And like, we've both got kids, so like, we can't just, take it. So I think that was the thing behind that. But yeah, again, I can't remember what I was going to say. I always lose it. I'm like, oh, there's so much to say in these past 3 years. Um, but I do think, yeah, people are, and it's nice that people are getting happier, and but people become more independent, especially women. And I think I had this conversation with my friend about like women, the jobs that they're getting now, and they're kind of like not taking any like BS from people, they become more independent, and financially independent too. And I think a lot of men, it like emasculates a little bit, and they're becoming maybe a little bit more threatened and a little bit more insecure. So it's like women, we're
I think
expecting men to be like chivalrous, but we also want to work too. And it's like, it's kind of like all jumbled everywhere now. It's like, well, you do this and then you do it. It's just a bit everywhere, isn't
I feel like a lot of the guys are feeling like when you were like they're feeling insecure because like women were like at the position we are and have the jobs
it?
that we
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad for men because I'm like, how is me being your equal emasculating you because all you brought was a paycheck and that's what everyone told you? Now you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, what do I do to like
Yeah.
oh guys, step up.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, for me, it's like simple. If a guy shows effort and he actually takes me on a date and he opens the door, them things like go so far. And a lot of guys do complicate it. Like, I had a conversation with a guy and he's like, women just want guys the 666 factor. They want us to have six figures, six pack, 6 feet. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely women out there that are like that. But a little bit of like kindness and a little bit of, it goes like a long way. Like, how's your day? Like, hey, how's your day? Like, things like that. I I don't think I've had that for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
apart from my relationship that I had in the summer. But like, guys just can't even do that now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a guy also tell me that he wanted me to chase him. And I was like, I don't, that's not gonna work. I was
Yeah.
like, no. I can't, I just can't. Like,
Like, what did he want you to do?
he's like, you could make effort too. Like, you could give me a good morning text. You could come, and I was just like, I know, but I do that like when we're in something, like I'm not gonna expect that. But I like the whole pursuing type thing. Like I like to be chased a little bit, like them to show interest, for me to show interest. Like,
Yeah,
but
I'll send those, but like if you're telling me to do it, like right when
it
we
makes you not want to do it. I'm not gonna do it.
I don't want to do that. It's just now
Yeah.
asking to, not because I genuinely just started doing it because I wanted to. It's weird.
Yeah, but then there's also, like I said, there's been situations where I thought, you know what, I am going to make a bit more effort, like, and I think this goes both ways. This probably goes for guys, and I think a lot of guys have been hurt too, which is why they probably don't put effort in as well. And I get that. And it's like for me, some of the guys that I've met where I've made it, I've always like created a fake personality for them. So I've always been like, oh well, they're so busy, but I know they really like me, and they're going to do this when this, but they do, and I've made excuses for them before they've even made excuses for themselves, and I'm never going to do that again because my gut feeling told me every time that I was right. So it's just, yeah, we're all doomed.
Yeah.
Going through, I feel like I had this entire conversation with my esthetician's mom today.
Yeah.
It was like, I knew it. I just knew it from the beginning. I should have trusted my gut. I should have.
Yeah.
Don't. We do make up like all these excuses until I guess the where it's like a detriment to ourselves.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I am still optimistic. I am really optimistic. I try and see everything, I think it only takes one. Like I like that saying where people like it only takes one, and there's like billions of people. So one day. But
Yeah, and I always say like if I exist, then they exist, right? Like if you
yeah,
exist, or like whatever you imagine your like perfect person or your equal person to be, like if I'm looking for them, they're for me. So
yeah,
it
exactly.
goes both.
Yeah. But so every time I do meet someone that I'm like attracted to, or that I'm like, oh, we vibe, they're like, oh, well, I don't want anything serious. And it's like, oh, come on, you're like 35. like come on.
My favorite online, like every now and then I'll be like, let's just like see what's online, and I'll like flick through a couple and I'm like, oh yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye. Like that's it. And that's it. And like I don't engage. It's literally like a 5-minute little social experiment. But my favorite thing is when guys put on their like what they're looking for in terms of relationship, if it's like serious or casual. There's some guys that are like 38, 40, putting like still trying to figure out what I want.
Yeah. I know. But then I'm like, I was saying, like I say, I have these conversations with my friends all the time, and we were saying like back in the day when we were like early 20s, no one really had the conversation. Like I can't remember ever having the conversation of being like, oh, what are you looking for? So I do think that in itself, since probably online, because I think that's where you had to put it in your bio or whatever, that puts more pressure on things anyway. Because sometimes people can change their mind. I, for example, the guy that I met in the summer, we weren't expecting to be in a relationship. That weren't something that like we thought were probably going to happen because of the distance. But like we just vibed, and I really liked him, and that's kind of what happened. So it's like, but we didn't. I think I was scared to have that conversation with him in the beginning because I didn't want to put that pressure on it. So I kind of get it in a way, like when people are like, "Oh, I don't know what I want really." Like maybe I do eventually want a relationship, but I don't know if it'd be with you, type thing. Like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've said that to guys before on dates. They've been like, oh, so what are you looking for? And I'm like, well, the end goal is to have a life partner. But right now I've just met you, so I don't know if it'd be you. Like, yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm so curious. How did you meet someone in Detroit? Personal question.
No, it was actually Facebook dating.
What?
Yeah, so like I got the Facebook, and then like I was kind of curious because I just got it, and I don't really go on. I don't like look through them. I just see who likes mine, and then it shows people from like different countries, like Florida. Like I don't know how they can like yours, even though my radius is like 30 kilometers, and people from different countries. And then to be honest, like he liked my profile, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, surely it's like AI. Like he's, and so I got chatting to him and we really vibed, and I'm like, straight away, what's your Instagram? Because I'm like, you look fake. So I got his Instagram, and I was like, okay, you're not fake. And I even said that to him, like, I was like, you look like you're AI generated. He's like, yeah, a lot of people say that. I think it was like he had the photo took at a wedding, but it was like portrait mode. It looked like
Yeah.
he were like AI. Anyway, and yeah, so then we spoke on the phone like all day, every day for like a week, and he's like, I'm gonna drive down. And I'm like, you're crazy. And he drove over, and after that we did for like 4 months. So
Aww.
we're still
Oh,
friends, like we still stay in touch. I like him as a person. I think he's like amazing. But it would just like he's got two kids and I've obviously got my son, and we kind of like better to end it now than like a year down the line, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad because I think I'll always be like, oh, what if? But
hmm.
yeah, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it was
So
fun.
I feel like those are nice little like serendipitous moments of like when like the universe will throw you what you need at like just the right time.
That was
Like,
literally it. Like having that attention for that amount of time, and like having someone crazy enough to like he would finish work at about like 4 o'clock in Detroit, drive down. It took him 3.5 hours, drive
oh,
down, and then leave the next morning at like 9 a.m.
oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God.
Like, and then
Oh,
because
because that
he
is
were doing that,
effort.
I know, and then because he were doing that, I were doing that. So it's like he'd do that, and then I'd be like, okay, well, I'll do that next week. So I'd finish work at like 3, drive down, and then leave the next morning at like 7 a.m. just to
Oh
see
my God.
him. Like,
And I think that's so
Yeah.
I feel like there's still like I think that's what's missing with a lot of like dating these days is there's not that like, innocent like excitement, do anything,
yeah.
go anywhere with someone like but it's nice when stuff like that happens and you're like,
I
okay, this
know.
like it just gives you that hope again.
Yeah, it was so exciting. I used to meet at them sometimes, like if it were like we both finished work like later, we'd just go and meet at the border. So we'd do like an hour and a half each drive, and then go to the border. Sorry, did it cut out a little bit?
Oh
Can you
yeah.
hear me? Yeah.
Oh, there we go. We're back.
Yeah, yeah, no, so like sometimes if we're like both running late, we'd be like, okay, we'll just meet at the border and go for dinner. So we'd meet at like Port Huron and just like go for dinner and stuff and just like catch up, and then it's only like an hour and a half to the border, like 2 hours or whatever. So yeah, it was
Oh, that is so nice.
cute.
I love that for you. I'm sorry it didn't work out right now,
I
but like,
know. Well, it was a nice little summer, so
yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that is nice. So what's next for you and like, for the single social? Like do you
um
have
I
anything?
have a few events coming up. So I have one at the Board Games Cafe on James Street, the Bard and Bear, and that's on the 4th of November. And then I have another one, a cocktail making one for like all ages. I'm doing two age groups at Paloma on the 4th of December. Um, but I'd like to branch out for single social. I'd like to go to different cities and do like, Burlington, Oakville, got that, different areas to try and make it bigger. Um, I would like to do the whole, what I was saying about a guy's profile, helping like people do like online profiles, even though I'm meant to be against online presence. But I'd like to help people do that because I do think there's a lot of potential, and it's kind of sad because you're judging someone completely on a photograph. And there's been so many times I've been out, like on nights out, and seen people that I've seen online and thought, oh my God, you look way better in person, or like your smile's way better, and just it's kind of it's really judgy, isn't it? Like, just looking at one picture and being like, no, 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 it's kind of cutthroat. So it's like it's nice to try and get people's best, the full potential out there.
It is to like give them that other give them the
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That sounds so like
Yeah, and even like some how people talk to people, it's like how because like I say, it's men do. I mean, we do too. I'm sure we overcomplicate men, and I feel like they overcomplicate us. Where like, oh, all girls want this, but it just goes on like your past experience. So it just basically goes on probably what you've experienced, the type of people that you've met. Because not all are like that. Like, not all girls want designer bags and guys that have like six figures, and people are happy with love and people are happy with just effort. Right.
mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We have some love and effort like, over here.
Yeah, like if someone messaged me and were like, so I really appreciate. So like a guy, I went to Toronto a few weeks ago to see Sabrina Carpenter, and a guy in a bar kept trying to talk to me, and I was just like, oh, I'm not feeling it right now. But then he messaged, and then he was like, have you got a pen? And I was like, oh no, sorry. He's like, because I wanted to give you my number. It's like,
Oh,
and I was like, oh my God, I was like, yeah, you can have my number. I was just like, that is so nice, and like that's effort. And I gave him my number whether they were like my type or not. And I thought he deserves me to get to know, like, no, to get to know him and see if we like vibe, because not many people approach in a nice way and do
No.
something like that. And he's like, he kept complimenting me, he's like, I like your jacket. I like, you know, and I was just like, that is so nice. Like,
And I love that he did it. Wasn't like, give me your phone, take what he's like, do you have a pet?
yeah, I was just like, oh my God, like, sure, right? It's not dead.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I had someone approach me in August. I was sitting at like just a pub by my house, just doing some work, and I was by myself. I was out in the sunshine, I had my sunglasses on my laptop, and this I saw like there's nobody else on the patio. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon on like a Wednesday. And I see like someone walk up to me. And so like I don't look right away. And then I'm like, oh, they stopped here. And so I look and they're like, hi, how are you? And I was like, good, how are you? And they're like, do you mind if I grab a seat? And I was like, I'm actually just doing some work right now. So you know, I just like need to do the work. And they're like, oh, that's great. Like, what are you working on? I said, oh, just like, you know, some like lessons, some stuff for school, whatever. And he was like, oh, I think that's great. Well, you have yourself a nice day. And I was like,
Oh,
that's so nice. And I texted everyone and was like, guys, you know what just happened?
yeah. Like that is that for me, I'd be like, oh my God, I love him.
Yeah, someone,
I'd be like, I'm in love, marry me now.
yeah, I know. And he totally wasn't my type, but I was like, you have guts. And I admire that. Like nobody, like I admire this guy so much. I was like, I want to buy you a drink because it's like,
Yeah.
that. They just don't do that.
No, yeah, so I appreciate like this, it's not that complicated, really. And I'm sure we overcomplicate too, but it's but yeah, I'm a lover girl, and I always, but I think that probably scares guys off too, because I'm like, I just want to be in love, and they're like, okay, bye.
Oh, I feel like the right person, like if that's the kind of girl you are, then like that you need someone like that too, who's like not afraid of that.
Well, I actually, so I will like speak to this guy online, and he messaged me, and I was like kind of drunk, so I thought, oh, I can't bother to like reply right now. So I messaged him, drunk, being like, I love you, like obviously joking. And then he didn't reply, and I thought, oh, he thinks I'm weird. And like 2 days later, he's like, oh my God, I love you too. Marry me. And I'm like, yes, that's the energy that I want. Even though it's not gonna happen, I like it.
That reminds me of seen on Netflix, Nobody Wants This.
Oh, I need to watch that still.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but there's this moment where she was like, that was the best. I think I'm pregnant. And then he doesn't
Oh.
answer. He's like dealing with the situation, but then he does. And she's like, see, you understood my humor.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I just want to, yeah, I'd love to have someone just to vibe with like that. That'd be so nice.
Yeah. Over the
It'll
person.
come. Yeah.
Um, so if you were to give, like going through everything you went through and everything you're in the middle of now and what you're pursuing in the future, if you were to leave our listeners with one piece of advice, what would you leave them with?
I mean, my positive mind wants, well, my cynical mind wants to be like, not everyone does the same, you know. It's like, I just feel like don't put too much into somebody else. Um, Even like obviously in a marriage you go into it, you're gonna, merge into one, but still have your own hobbies. Like never give up your job, because this is a scary thing for women too, giving up your career for
Mhm.
to become a mom or to become, a wife. And then if your partner does leave you or something happens, like my partner had an affair, it's like if something like that happens, and you've left with kind of no job, no, like it could have happened to me, but luckily I had my business, and I'm in like a new country, and so I just like don't give up on your dreams for somebody else, like,
Mm.
because you just never know that you can't. I don't want to say that you can't trust people, but you just never know. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
always you, I think, or like make
yeah,
primary focus.
yeah. Like still, obviously, in the most respectful way to your partner. I don't mean like, oh well, I want to go out till 2 p.m. on a 2 p.m. Sorry, that's early. 2 a.m. on a till Sunday morning. Like you should deal with it. I don't mean that kind of like
Mhm.
selfishness. I just mean
Mhm.
still have goals, still have drive to
Don't
have
lose
a
your.
career. Yeah, yeah. Or even if it's like you enjoy going to the gym, and then you meet someone and they're like, oh, come on, no, we don't need to go to the gym. Like if you enjoy that, you should still do that. And
Mhm.
hobbies or friends, even like if you still, healthy hobbies, there's nothing wrong with it. So I know a lot of people that give up things and they see the partner like all day, every day, and it's like they become the hobby, and then when they leave them, it's so traumatic because you've put so much into one person. Yeah. So I think that'll be a red flag going forward. Like, I think I need, like you said, you need someone with hobbies who's got, it's attractive when people have got their own thing going on.
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important to like have your own thing. Even for like guys, if a guy were to say to me like, I don't really have any hobbies. I don't really have any. Why?
Yeah,
like
the friend thing for me, like I'd be a bit like, why you don't have no friends? Like, that's weird.
Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, I think on a more positive note, I think that was great advice. Like not to yourself, to keep doing the things that you love, and yeah, you definitely you always have to. We do give up, or we can give up so much that you do have something to kind of like fall back on and like support yourself with. So I think that's really important. If we've from our history, then I think that's really important.
Yeah, and try also, like I said this previously, but like try and see the positives in things. I know it's really difficult when you're going through something, but trying to have the mindset of like, okay, there's something better for me, or this happened for a reason. And I always think like, why is because I've been single for so long, like I say, apart from this little summer relationship, but I'm like, why me? Like, why has no one come to me? And I'm like, maybe the universe is telling me like I need to focus more on myself and I need to focus on my business. And to be honest, like in the summer when I did meet the guy from Detroit, I kind of stopped I didn't stop my business for him because he didn't want me to, but it was just I was doing so much traveling there and back, and I found myself on a weekend we'd spend like the full weekends together. So the single social kind of like flopped a little bit. And then after I was like, boys are bad for business. This is the universe telling me that I'm not ready yet. I need to get this going first. So try and see the positives and like the humor in things rather than being like, oh, my life's so bad. Like no one loves me. And I know it's easy. It's like easier said than done. But I think if you kind of change your mindset a little bit, you can maybe heal a little quicker.
Yeah, and mine's they don't happen overnight, but yeah, if you just keep like seeing the positive, like remember like, oh yeah, I got to see the positive in this, or like, okay, what's the lesson in this, or but it's important to definitely
and having boundaries too. And I'm not good at boundaries. I'm probably the worst person to give advice to about boundaries, but I'm learning to have boundaries, and I feel myself getting healthier giving them and having them, and not answering the text after a year being like, hey, how are you, like that, like, and that's like I'm trying to get boundaries in that way, even if they are drop dead gorgeous. He's like, no,
all your willpower. The hardest.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, but I mean,
we're proud.
Like I said, that practicing, it's a work in progress.
Not easy. I get it.
Yeah, but if someone else can do it, I definitely advise it.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so much fun. I've loved talking to you. If
you too
want to connect with you or the single social,
you? So on Instagram, it's just at the single social, I think. I think that's what it is. Yeah. So that's like all I've got for now, and I've got Facebook too, the single social. But eventually, I'm going to be getting a website when I need to get that sorted. So,
awesome. Okay. Add that in our show notes.
Pardon? Sorry, we started with this cut a little bit.
Yeah, we'll add that in our show notes.
Yeah.
Add that there, and let's have that there. But yeah, it's been great to talk to you. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Thank you. No.
No, you had a nice